What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, February 6, 2018. I'm Tim Geddes, joined by Andrea Renee. How you doing?
What's good, Tim?
I love the what's good. It makes me happy every single time I hear it. This is Kind of Funny Games Daily each and every weekday right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We get together, talk through all of the biggest video game news of the day. But you need to be part of the show. You can go to kindoffunny.com/KFGD to write in your questions, to squad up, to do all the different things. Let us know where we're wrong by going to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. And at the end of the show, we will read through all the things that we get wrong in this episode of the show. It's beautiful. It's like we get to have this interaction.
Keeping us honest,
because we need to be. You can get the show on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames when it goes up as a VOD, usually around 2 p.m. Pacific time, or you can get it on podcast services around the globe. However you take the show, we thank you for it, and you are a valuable person in my life. How you doing?
You know, I'm doing pretty well, Tim. Thanks for asking.
Good.
It's a beautiful week here in the San Francisco Bay Area, unseasonably warm.
I was Ubering over, and there was not a single cloud in the sky, and I don't think I've ever in my life experienced that in San Francisco.
In the Bay, it just doesn't happen very much because of all the marine layer and the cloud cover.
And there's always at least like planes flying around, leaving all their little plane dust. You know what I mean, Kevin? That plane dust.
Chemtrails, Tim.
The chemtrails.
It's not chemtrails. It's just
Let's get the housekeeping out of the way. The sponsor this week is Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries, but we'll tell you about that later. And MCU in Review, our show over on youtube.com/kindoffunny that happens every Tuesday at 9 a.m. The new episode is up right now, and it's Avengers. I know a lot of people have been waiting to jump onto the show at this point because Avengers is most people's favorite movie. Is it our favorite movie? You're going to have to go watch the review to find out. It's not much of a surprise. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. I'm going to tell you right now. Andrea, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news.
Kevin.
4 stories today.
You should be all amped up. You just had like so much queso.
Lactose intolerant. The queso brings me down.
You know that's not real cheese in there.
Yet it affects my stomach real bad.
I think that was because of the sheer amount you ate, not because there was lactose in there.
Kevin Coelho, the true story. Our first story is a rumor, Andrea. A big rumor. I want to put this out there. As many asterisks as you possibly can have.
Get your
as
salt
many
shaker
grains
out.
of salt as you can have. Have that little... You know what I mean? We're about to get salty here. This comes from Trusted Reviews, which I feel if you need to put trusted in your name, I don't know how much you can be trusted. But the reason that we're talking about this is a lot of people that I do trust in different circles are reporting on this news. Now, I want it to be known that none of the big sites, the IGNs, the Kotakus, the GameSpots have not covered this yet as of the recording. So we'll see. We'll see. Is there an update?
I'm taking a look around. It's spreading a little bit. There are a couple sites that I do go to that are making some waves about this. So you go ahead, Tim, and I will continue to research this as we begin.
I appreciate that. So this is a very long story, but I feel like you guys are going to enjoy it. It's about Red Dead Redemption 2. A lot of rumors here, all right? Trusted Reviews has received a number of alleged development notes on Red Dead Redemption 2 that reveal gameplay details regarding missions, mechanics, online multiplayer modes, and story. We first received the documents in August 2017, but decided not to share them as they were unsubstantiated. Since then, a great deal of the information in the documents has been validated in Red Dead Redemption 2 promotional materials. 2 characters featured in the document, including main protagonist Arthur Morgan, were corroborated by official screenshots released by Rockstar. One character is Dutch Vonderland, leader of the Dutch's gang, while the other appears to be Arthur Morgan. Knowing this, we now believe the information to be genuine. If you look at the article, they have screenshots that are unique to them. So we have the trailers we've seen for Red Dead. There has been those promotional stills put out. What they have is different, and the characters in it match up with the characters in some of the recently released screenshots. So that's why they're like, we think this is real now because there's some real shit going on, right? Moving on. According to the notes, Red Dead Redemption 2's online component will feature Battle Royale, Revive and Survive, and Money Grab modes. It remains unknown whether Battle Royale will operate in a similar fashion to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or Fortnite, but we wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar hopes to capitalize on the popularity of those 2 titles. I very much think that's the case. Revive and Survive pits 2 teams against each other as they try to stay alive. You'll have a limited amount of time to revive your teammates before they are eliminated. Finally, Money Grab features 2 teams fighting to procure bags of money in a central location. You're expected to collect and return them to your base as quickly as possible. The memo also states, much like GTA Online, players will be free to explore the open world, although it will supposedly provide far more depth than Rockstar's previous online efforts. For example, NPCs will decorate storefronts with amenities and pack things away once night comes. Frequent rewards will be handed out to players for completing certain tasks. These might range from traveling a certain distance to murdering an enemy using a bow from 100 meters away. Apartments from GTA Online will return in the form of tents, which can be owned and upgraded by players. These are purchased in the open world and also come in a variety of different themes. Online play will include access to a number of shops and NPCs, which can provide the player with equipment and missions. Free events can also be organized outside of standard playlists like spontaneous treasure hunts and death matches. The development notes claim a companion app is in the works to launch alongside Red Dead Redemption 2 later this year. Alongside social elements, it will also include a poker minigame of sorts. You will allegedly be able to partake in a variety of activities across the world of Red Dead Redemption 2, such as gold mining, fishing, herding, and an assortment of weapon challenges. Throughout the open world, you'll discover several locations, including Armadillo and Ridgewood. These are populated with various NPCs, including general store owners, gunsmiths, and undertakers. You can also partake in gambling if you're hoping to risk it all for a financial gain. A slums market will apparently be a method of procuring equipment at a reduced price. You can expect NPCs to be navigating these places in accordance with RDR2's day and night cycles as well. There's more. Vehicles in the game will include minecarts, handcarts, and horse-drawn carriages. These come in different variants such as armored and fast ones, although we're unsure if you can customize them yourself. The document hints at railway trains being available as modes of transportation across the open world. In addition, they'll be fully explorable with unique inhabitants and dialogue. Aside from the solo campaign, details of which we won't spoil, side activities will also be available. Horsemanship challenges can be completed to increase your rider rank, while dozens of different fish can be captured across the world. Plants and herbs can be gathered for crafting purposes with document listing types including clamshell, ghost, night-scented, rat-tail, and spider orchids. You've also got fishing, which seems to be in-depth with a selection of baits and tackles available for purchase. You can even buy a can of worms. Yes. RDR2 will allow you to play both the main campaign and multiplayer in first person. The document states the game will have bespoke animations to fit the style. Excuse me. Deadeye makes a return with enhanced abilities, including tracking bounties through the fields and detecting which fish and animals are available nearby. The memo mentions random events which appear to follow in the footsteps of GTA 5's Strangers and Freaks. Details are sketchy, but it will feature bounty hunting quests, treasure hunts, and adventures with a mysterious stranger. Specific player actions during campaign missions will lead to events unfolding differently depending on which characters you interact with. This could lead to different mission outcomes, objectives, and dialogue depending on how you behave morally in each playthrough. Just like most other Rockstar titles, a wanted level is displayed at the top of the screen and can increase or decrease depending on how the player acts. Assaulting pedestrians is considered a low severity crime, while holding up a saloon and murdering everyone will be taken more seriously. The document states that if enemies are injured in a certain way or taken off horseback, you can trigger contextual dialogue and force them to offer information or monetary gain in return for sparing their life. That's what we got so far. I buy it. I totally buy it. This is the type of stuff, it's detailed enough to the point where it's like, God, I really hope this isn't fake, because someone would have to be really lame to come up with all this shit.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But the problem is that if this is truly... Kevin, what are you doing over there?
Little rave party over there. He's stoked for RDR2, man.
I'm looking up the article. I had an autoplay. Sorry.
Yes. So here's the thing. If they received these design documents last summer, and the game is not coming out until October of 2018, it's very possible that some of these decisions were changed. Mm-hmm. So while they may have been true at the time, we don't know if all of this is going to be true when the game actually ships.
Yep.
So, which is probably a good reason why Rockstar has not released any of this information. Maybe they're tweaking it. Maybe they're making some changes. Maybe after they fully wrote out the code and got the animations in, they decided, this isn't quite working. Let's tweak it a little bit, which is why we generally don't get this level of detail unless it's at a specific press event where Rockstar is saying, hey, we want to show you these things because we've locked them in.
This reads like a Game Informer blowout.
Yes, it does.
Game, it's like hey, here's the real, the cover story of here's all the details for the people that want to get real nerdy with the game and get into it and actually care about all these different changes and how it compares to GTA 5.
Yeah.
But again, I believe it because you're right that some of these things may change. I'd be willing to bet that most of this stays the same. Like this sounds like what they'd be going for. And a lot of this is kind of easy things to even guess. It's not crazy that there's minecarts and trains, right?
Right.
But I think this is cool and this is exciting news. I know that people love GTA Online for good reason.
Yeah,
and for this to be kind of their sophomore effort into what modern online GTA can look like, or Rockstar games can look like. It's a very exciting time because that game we can expect the campaign is going to be awesome. But I'm really interested to see how they kind of take what they've learned from GTA Online and put it into this game.
I agree. I think that this is nothing but good news for people who are looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2, people who have spent a significant amount of time or even just a little bit amount of time in GTA Online. I think Rockstar has continued to show time and time again throughout the life cycle of GTA 5 that they're committed to posting regular content updates and really fostering that community and being involved in that community and making sure that online playground is a place that people want to be. And so hearing things that they're going to go even farther and do even more exciting, cool things in Red Dead Redemption 2's online mode is, of course, great for everybody who loves playing games as services. So looking forward to it.
And the other side of it is this is just a personal thing, but I really enjoy these type of leaks. Like I enjoy like reading about when it's not just like someone tweeted something and it's like, oh, that could be true, but I like it when it's like, oh no, there's some real info here. And it really to me was the screenshots that sold it, where I'm like, wow, we don't often get these type of things. Every once in a while, pretty much every Assassin's Creed game we do. But besides that, like for a big game like this, like it almost feels like Rockstar doesn't care. And there's like this, if things get out there, they get out there however they want.
Why would they care? Yeah, right? Like
they're on top of the world. They can totally control what they're doing.
They wear like the big boss pants. They're like, we can do whatever we want.
They can wait as long as possible to put this type of info out. Yeah. So if it leaks early, I'm sure that they're not like too concerned about it. Like, of course, nobody wants other people to control the marketing, but with Red Dead, it's like that's top story everywhere once it hits. I'll be interested to follow the story along and to see if the other big guys pick it up or not, because that I think will be quite telling. But I buy it. Do you buy it, Nick?
I buy that for $1.
Nick buys it too. Buys it for $1. Next story. This is another big one.
Do you want to come and do the show with us, Mr. Scarpino?
Yeah, I'm good. It just feels good to just live,
You want to come stand there for 1 second? Sure. Just real quick. I just want to show people your shirt. This next story is brought to you by kindafunny.com/store. You can go there to buy this beautiful Kinda Funny Games Daily t-shirt or this Kinda Funny hoodie that I'm wearing. What about this t-shirt I'm wearing? No, not yet. This was custom made. But maybe one day if enough people ask for it. Sure. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
Next news story. E3 Coliseum returns for 3 full days. Tickets to public to go on sale on February 12th. February 12th, 9 a.m. Pacific. The first 1,000 tickets will be sold for $150. All tickets sold after the early bird special will cost $250. This mirrors the structure of E3 2017, the first year that the gaming convention fully opened its doors to the public. It's unclear if the 15,000 ticket cap remains in 2018. If sales trends anything like last year, though, you won't have to worry about missing out on tickets. It took 3 months for all 15K tickets to sell out for E3 2017. That said, if you plan on attending, buying your ticket as soon as possible will save you $100. Last year, the 150 tickets were only available for 1 day before selling out.
Wow.
In addition to the standard E3 show floor experience, the E3 Coliseum will return. The Game Awards creator Jeff Keighley will host the ongoing event that will include developer panels and exclusive looks at upcoming games. He says, quote, E3 draws the biggest names in video games and entertainment for an incredible worldwide experience. And with 3 days of programming, this year's E3 Coliseum will bring together video game fans, game creators, and special guests from popular culture to celebrate the most powerful form of entertainment in the world.
This is exciting.
Get hyped. I know a lot of people, especially in the industry, have a lot of bitching and complaining to do about opening the E3 to the public. I am not one of those people.
I thought it went well last year.
I thought it went really well. I love having more people there, and I understand that it does create complications in terms of getting around the show floor. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people made it out to be.
I mean, there were some hiccups in the first couple of days with queuing and things like that, because as we saw, when you have tens of thousands of people lining up to get into a convention center, there's a lot of things you need to think about. And, hats off to Reed Pop and Penny Arcade for really handling that so well at PAX with security and the queue hall and the things that they do to really manage their crowds. E3 did not have a lot of that in place. They quickly pivoted and were able to get it together before the show ended, but I thought it was great. I loved being able to see a lot of people that not only watch Kind of Funny, but watch What's Good, come up and say hi to us. We were right in the foyer on the Facebook Live stage, which was really cool. So we got to see a lot of people just walking by, which was awesome. And I'm really glad that they're bringing the Coliseum back. I hosted at the Coliseum last year with Square Enix and the Deck 9 team for Life is Strange Before the Storm. And it was a really nice setting. And I think that it's a great place for developers to give a more in-depth deep dive at some of the titles instead of just seeing, a gameplay demo on someone's stage, whether it be like IGN or GameSpot or Rooster Teeth. You to have a full hour to bring in like your voice actors or to bring in, some of your development team, I think is a really great space. So I'm happy to see that they're bringing that and expanding it this year.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I love it as kind of second screen experience type stuff where it's like there's so much going on at E3 with the trailer releases, obviously the conferences and all of that, and then with the Nintendo Treehouse and with what they do, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sony did something more similar to what Nintendo did in previous years. Like Sony has done the pre-shows for their conferences, but if they had more of like a live stream going on after with announcements kind of throughout the show, just like that's kind of I feel like the industry is trending towards. And Coliseum is that. Coliseum is that like, hey, for all the millions of people out there that are just consumed by this E3 week and take days off work to just sit at home and watch these things, or at work and have multiple tabs open. Coliseum's a great way for when nothing's really going on to go in over there and kind of get a little bit deeper into a lot of the announcements made or a lot of the games that are coming out right then. And I do think it's cool. Jeff does a great job with every show that he does. And I think that Coliseum is only going to grow and be more of a thing at E3. And I think it's important to have as many events going on around E3 as possible, because if there's going to be this many people in the public, like you need to give them something to do. And I feel like this is the type of thing. You need to provide
a value for that ticket price, because it's not cheap, especially if you don't get an early bird. Like $250 for a 3-day passes, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to stand in line and play 3 games a day. It's like, but hey, I personally think it's worth it for the experience. Like just going there and just E3 is such a sight to behold if you haven't done it before. And even if you've done it before, I've done it countless times now, and still when you walk in, you're just like, wow, it's different than the other shows. Not to say it's better than the other shows, but it's definitely different. It's definitely more of like a showcase of here's everything we have, and we're going to put money into it. And our booths are going to be stupid in the best way, So obviously E3 is a very exciting time for us, but I'm happy that it's open to the public, and I think Coliseum's a great addition to what they do. And back when Jeff did the YouTube stuff at E3, I loved that as well. And this is, I feel like
he's still
a
doing
natural
that.
progression of that. Yeah. But yeah, I love how that kind of, it goes from that into this whole Coliseum idea. Yeah, I'm in. I'm excited. I love that we're already talking about E3. It's crazy. But yeah, tickets going on sale very soon if you're interested
next week
in doing that. We cannot confirm anything, but it's very likely that we will be doing many things at E3, including stage shows that the public would be able to hang out with us at. So
can we just like make a pact that you guys don't stay in that weird
sex dungeon?
Yeah, don't do that again.
Can't make that pact at all. I'm going to push for it entirely.
That was
I'm sure
the best
Kevin
party
as well.
I've ever. The party ended at 4 a.m. That's never happened before at an E3, and it was amazing.
It's going to be great.
I chopped a
it was
watermelon
so weird.
in half. I chopped a watermelon in half.
You could do that almost anywhere, Kevin.
But I hadn't.
You don't need to be in
a
sex dungeon.
I'm sure I can do that almost anywhere, but I've only done it in the sex
dungeon.
dungeon.
Are you hating on this? Are you anti-sex dungeon? That's okay. Everyone's entitled to opinions, but I mean, I'm firmly pro-sex dungeon.
I'm sure someone chorus wipes the whole thing every time.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Don't eat off anything,
Someday I'll tell you a story about a really random hosting job I had back in the early days of my career that I showed up at, and I didn't realize that it was an adult film set until after. The first thing that ticked me off, I walked in, there was a giant bottle with a pump on it. That was lubricant.
Hey man, was it just my house? You know what I mean? Next news story. Sources say, this comes from Eurogamer, this year's Call of Duty is Call of Duty Black Ops 4. This year's Call of Duty game, Black Ops 4, multiple sources have confirmed to Eurogamer the Black Ops storyline so far has covered the Cold War, near future, and a further time period in 2065. In particular, Black Ops 3 had a fully sci-fi focus, something which Black Ops 4 will dial back to better fit the series' recent desire for more grounded feeling. In response to the negative feedback surrounding 2065, 2016 space set Infinite Warfare. Word of Black Ops 4 first appeared online this week in a Twitter post from self-styled, quote, industry insider Marcus Sellars. In a series of posts made over the past few days, Sellars also referenced a Nintendo Switch version of Black Ops 4 was in development, a detail we're still working to verify. He tweets, quote, Call of Duty 2018 is Black Ops 4 and is coming to PS4, Xbox, PC, and Switch. It is set in modern times and is boots on the ground. The Switch version will support DLC, HD Rumble, and motion controls. The Switch version is also being ported by a company which is familiar with Call of Duty games.
This is not surprising at all.
Is there anything about this that's surprising to you?
No, I mean, it's Treyarch's turn. Black Ops is one of their most popular titles in the Call of Duty series. It coming to Switch absolutely makes sense. Call of Duty has come to Nintendo consoles for a long time now. So, I mean yes, why wouldn't they bring it there? But
the last one, if I remember correctly, was Ghosts on the Wii U.
I think
that was a while back.
Oh, the Black Ops. Let me look. I know Black Ops was on Wii. Black Ops 2 also on Wii, I believe. Wii U? Yes, Black Ops 2 also was on Wii U. So, I mean, why wouldn't Black Ops 4? Let's see, Black Ops 3 is also on Wii U.
Was Black Ops 2 after Ghosts?
I would have to look at the full rundown.
I think Ghost was the last one. Let us know when you're wrong. But there has been some time off. There was no Advanced Warfare. There was no Infinite Warfare on Nintendo consoles. But yeah, so this isn't surprising that it's coming to Switch. I think it's interesting, and I think that it will sell well. And the Switch getting Doom was kind of the first person shooter that the system got of that type of caliber, and I think it's good that Call of Duty could be there too. I definitely don't think that'll be the best way to play. In fact, I think it'll be the worst way to play. But I can't imagine people being too excited about the online aspects of that. But just as a fun playing through the campaign, that could be cool and enticing, and HD Rumble and all that's great.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the real news here is if you're a Call of Duty fan, people do love Black Ops, and going back to the right setting, I think, is a good move.
Yeah. I had a revelation, Tim, that I wanted to talk about on this show.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
I realized that I look at games on the Nintendo Switch the way that every PC gamer looks at games on console.
Yeah?
That I make these caveats that are like, oh, well, yeah, it's going to be okay on Switch, but you should really play it over here. And I'm like, this is what the PC Master Race has been talking about this entire time.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
And it was like a light bulb moment in my head. I was like, because there was another game that was recently announced for Switch that I was like, why would you ever want to play it on Switch when you can play it on like PS4 or Xbox One or PC? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Have I become that person?
See, the thing is, I think
I
think there's a nuance to it though that is very different, because it's not that. Like, there's a different argument to be made where Switch, much like PC, has a potentially very different audience than the people that have PS4s and Xbox Ones. There's a lot of overlap. If you're a real gamer, quote unquote, you probably have a Switch and at least one of the other two.
Yeah. Maybe
a PC, right? Like, that's, I would say, standard. But when you go from there, it's like, I feel like the Call of Duty coming out on Switch, it's like there's going to be a lot of people buying that game. They don't have the other things, and they're excited because they are just Switch only owners. But I'm with you where I'm like, I don't understand the desire everyone has to, like, let's get where's the third party Nintendo? It's like, why do you want why do you want that? Like, why do you want the new ones? Like, I'm fine with ports of old classic games, like of Skyrims and Doom and things like that. That's, to me, more exciting than the idea of new games day and date coming to Switch as well, because it's going to be the inferior version. Like, and
I think it depends what the game is, though, right?
For sure. But for something like Call of Duty, I'm like, is there really anybody, and let us know if we're wrong, kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Is there really anybody that, besides the people that are like, oh man, I'd love to play campaign portably, because like, that's cool to me. I'd be down for that on a plane, just busting through a cool campaign.
I could see that if the benchmark for the quality of graphical power hadn't been set so high with Call of Duty World War II. Anybody who's seen that campaign and seen how gorgeous it looked, that kind of graphical fidelity is just not possible on the Nintendo Switch because it's not designed to be that type of machine. It's not designed to like push, the boundaries of 1080p or 4K, depending on which console you have or which, setup you're using. And so I don't know if, they would do that. I mean, but certainly of all the developers out there who have the technology, I mean, Activision and their 3 major developers who make the Call of Duty franchise have the ability to make multiple ports. They always have. So they could certainly make a version that runs at a lower frame rate and lower resolution for, the Nintendo Switch. Mm-hmm. But I mean, after seeing how beautiful it looked when I saw it on PS4 Pro, like, I don't know why you would want to not see it in its full glory. But no, this comes back to what I said about this is what PC people have been saying the whole time about console. But now console and PC are getting closer together as far as like parity in visuals. Well, obviously, like 8K is a thing that exists in PCs that doesn't exist on consoles, but like it's closer, Tim. Can you give me that?
It's closer. Yeah.
Xbox One X visuals are pretty close.
That's true, but
close.
It's like they're totally not when you take into consideration ultra wide screens and like things like that, where the PCs are just like, well, okay, shit, this is way better.
I have a giant 65-inch 4K TV at home that blows out any widescreen computer monitor I've seen.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's some really great ones, and I have the same TV as you.
Okay.
But there's some real nice shit out there.
I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying it looks pretty good.
It's amazing. Pretty good is an understatement. It's fantastic. Next story. This is a sad one. Capcom lays off staff and cuts scope on next Dead Rising. This comes from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, of course. Capcom has laid off a significant number of staff in its Vancouver office as part of a shift that saw the company cancel an unannounced project and cut scope on the next Dead Rising, according to a person familiar with the company, as well as various posts on social media. The source, who spoke anonymously so as not to risk their career, said around 50 people were laid off as part of a reorg aimed to streamline the company and wrangle the next Dead Rising, which had been overscoped and understaffed as many video games are. Per LinkedIn, Capcom Vancouver had around 250 employees. The studio is best known for developing the second, third, and fourth games in Capcom's humorous zombie killing series. The unannounced game, which was a very early prototype and had not yet been greenlit, was envisioned as a third-person action-adventure game set in an alternate reality version of New York, the sources said. And there was an update this morning. Capcom officially had a statement. Capcom Vancouver has undergone a restructure which has impacted approximately 30% of the studio as part of its regular periodic assessment of upcoming projects and overall studio goals. The team is continuing to work hard to support the recent release of Puzzle Fighter for mobile and is dedicated to its flagship Dead Rising series.
I mean, that's, to be expected, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, obviously, this is sad, and I hope all the people that got laid off get back on their feet. And
it's tragically like super common, right? Like we hear these stories all the time about restructuring, and when franchises don't hit their financial goals, I mean, that's a line item on a budget somewhere, and there's not money to pay to continue to pay people's salaries. Like they have to lay people off. I mean, it happens in any industry, and in video games, it's just a little bit more common because of the way that the life cycle of video game production is done. And we've talked about this on the show before, but I mean, in video games, it's very rare that you're able to secure a long-term creative position at a studio that is successful enough to keep you employed year after year without, either moving you to a different team or changing your job focus or just outright like doing a layoff and letting you go. And then you pick up a job at another studio working on another project. Yeah. It happens all the time in like the feature film business and television business where you do production on a specific show or a specific film, and then that pays you for X amount of months or X amount of years, and then the show ends or the film is done, and then it's done.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is interesting too, because I feel like Capcom is in such a weird place in 2018 right now. Like, I feel like they had a pretty bad year last year and made a lot of bad choices and were kind of similar to EA and Activision when it came to just getting shat on all the time for the decisions that they made and just for the quality of their games that they were coming out. And I feel like there's been a resurgence in the last couple of months of announcements being made for 2018. Them coming out the gate with Monster Hunter is huge and such a big win for them.
Yeah.
Everyone I've talked to is Monster Hunter fan or not that is jumping in this game is having a great time with it, and Monster Hunter fans are saying that it's the best version of the franchise so far, and that's all great news. And so Capcom has that to jump off on. They're finally giving Mega Man some respect, where it's like, oh, they're putting all the old games, the Legacy Collections, and an X Collection on all the systems, including Switch. So that's easy money for them for sure. The Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Collection looks like an awesome, too late project that is going to make a lot of money. And then Mega Man 11 is like, okay, cool. They are continuing this stuff, and whether or not that game's good and whether or not people like it, it's still to be determined. But Capcom it's interesting to watch them and seeing what they did with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and how they've been supporting that game and how sad of a cash grab that looked like and seems to be.
I think though that they aren't screwing up across the board. I think that they've just made a couple of missteps. I mean, they came out strong last year with Resident Evil 7, right? You know, like a lot of people really loved that game. You know, it won a bunch of awards. They had the VR component, you know, and they're starting the year off on the right foot here. And I think that, you know, like there's such a legacy brand in the video games business that people are willing to forgive their missteps, but they haven't had like a home run in a while. And I think that Monster Hunter World
is that for sure.
Is, I think, going to be that for them this year. You know, I mean, obviously we don't know what else is still coming down the pipeline for them potentially. But I think that, you know, they have let some of their negative news overshadow their wins. And I think that's kind of like life in general. Like the negative usually overshadows the positive.
But I think the problem was, because you're right, there was Resident Evil 7 and that was like, oh shit, like they're back. But it's like, compare Resident Evil 7 sales to Resident Evil 6 sales. And it's like, as much as we loved the game and it sold well. Yeah. But I mean, Resident Evil 6 sold very well. Yeah. And so that, and Resident Evil 5 even more so, if I remember correctly. And I feel like going from there, like just with how Street Fighter 5 was launched even the year before, but like kind of we're dealing with the ramifications of that over time. And then with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like today they just announced the Capcom World Cup or whatever, like the next season of it. And like it doesn't even include Marvel vs. Capcom. It's like, they're like, nah. So I don't know. But we have a question here from Reverse Flash. It says, hello, Andrea and Tim. With reports coming out today that Capcom Vancouver has suffered a 30% reduction in staff, it makes me wonder if that studio should move on from Dead Rising. I understand the series has its fans, but was it ever really all that popular or profitable? I personally have played 2 and 3 and found the series to be really bland and repetitious. I never understood its appeal, and I don't hear it talked about much by games media personalities such as yourselves, yet there are 4, technically 5, entries. While it's always unfortunate to hear about layoffs, do you think it was it was wise to dedicate a studio to mostly doing just Dead Rising? There are many dormant Capcom IP I'd love to see Capcom tackle again, such as Dino Crisis, Onimusha, Ogami, or Beautiful Joe, to name a few. Do you think this means Capcom Vancouver reboots Dead Rising in a different form or moves on to a dormant or different IP? Thanks for all the excellent work you all do week in and week out. Reverse Flash.
I quickly did a search here to try to find some sales figures for Dead Rising, and it looks like they have sold in the low millions for each iteration, but as we saw with Square Enix and some of their sales goals, even if you sell 2 or 3 million, it might not be enough. Yeah. Right? Like if they're anticipating 5 million and you sell 2 million, I mean, that's quite a shortfall for what the goals were set as. So, which is crazy to think that a game selling 2 million copies is considered not good. But I mean, some of these major publishers have really lofty goals. I mean, look at Battlefront 2. It sold 9 million copies, but still wasn't good enough, right? That's
absolutely nuts. But when you think about the budget and the marketing budget alone for that game, things start to make sense. Dead Rising is interesting because it's one of those franchises that when it first came out was such a big deal and everyone was talking about it because it was this new, hot, different thing. And it was fun. And I remember back, I think it was an Xbox 360 exclusive, if I remember correctly. And that really gave it a lot of juice and people were stoked about it. I feel like that franchise pretty quickly wore out its welcome. And I agree with Mr. Reverse Flash here, that just the series at this point is kind of just like, oh yeah, there's another one. Like I remember it launched with the Xbox One and like no one was really excited about it. It was just kind of more.
Well, it also came out in December, which was, while thematically made sense because, you know, they had like the snow and the Christmas outfits and the things like that. It just says that's a tough window to launch in because you have all these AAA blockbusters that come out late October through November that are taking up so much of the market space. In order to really overcome that in the month of December, you have to have a really big draw. I think even a game like Far Cry 3, which came out in December, which was an excellent game, but most people didn't start playing it until like February,
When it won all
March
the
of the
Game
next
of the Year
year.
stuff, and everyone's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, that was a contributing factor, but also like, not to say that the franchise is tired, but they haven't really done anything really revolutionary or innovative with it in a while.
I liken it to Yakuza as a franchise in the sense that there will always be a dedicated audience that wants more and really is just like, just more. But then I feel the general public is never going to be really like, yes, a new Dead Rising, and hearing the news that they're going to cut back the scope of the next one, I'm like, how much more can you cut back the scope of it? Like playing Dead Rising 4, I was like, there's not much here, you know? So that's interesting. Do I think they'll take on some of the dormant franchise? I don't think so. I think if anything, that'll be other Capcom teams that do that. I mean, we're going to get one of the things you named, Dino Crisis, Onimusha, Okami, or Beautiful Joe. Like at some point in the next 2 years, one of those will be announced as either a sequel or a reboot or something of that form. I look at something like Okami and I feel like there has to be a reason we haven't seen a sequel besides the DS one. And I feel like they're content with just re-releasing that on every system imaginable and just kind of making that money because that, like porting it over probably hits the profit margins they need. I don't know that an Okami sequel would, and I'm pretty sure they've seen the data to support that. But yeah, the other thing's Dino Crisis. I mean, dude, if they did Dino Crisis right now, that could be a hit. Or if they fucked it up, it would just totally flop. So, and that's where we're at with Capcom now. It's like, there is no just trust of like, oh, that's going to be good. It's not like with Crystal Dynamics where you're like, if they fucked something up, you'd be surprised.
Right.
If Capcom fucks something up, nope. You're just like, oh, okay.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Well, as I stay sad, hoping for an Onimusha reboot at some point, where could I go to find out what games are coming out in the mom and grop shops?
You could go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily show host each and every weekday. Tim, come on, really?
I don't have energy for that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Kevin.
Out today, Dandara on Xbox One, PS4, and Switch.
You think you would like this game, Tim?
Yeah?
Yes.
I looked at the icon. I'm like, that looks cool. What is it?
So this is a Raw Fury game. I got the chance to play this at GDC last year. It is a platformer that uses really interesting gravity mechanics. And if your love of Celeste is any tell, you should check out Dandara.
Okay, Dandara. On the list. Marooners, Xbox One and PS4. Shadow of the Colossus on PlayStation 4. Let me just tell you, if you haven't played this game before, go out and buy this game. $40 for one of the greatest games ever made. What's up, Kev? Yeah, you? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You got to play this. If you have played it before, it's worth playing through again. It's fantastic. Love that game so much. You can check out our review on youtube.com/kindafunnygames on the latest episode of Gamescast, alongside reviews of Monster Hunter World and Celeste. Closers on PC. Bleed 2 on PS4. Dragon Sinker on PS4 and Vita. Mercenary Kings Reloaded Edition on Xbox One, PS4. Remnants of Nazareth on PC. Sea of Thieves Limited Edition Xbox Controller. Middle-earth Shadow of War DLC. The Blade of Galadriel story expansion. You can read this one.
So I added this. We heard about this expansion a while ago, but now it's finally, they're just like, surprise, it's out. So if you have the season pass, it's included. You can play as Atariel for the first time, an elite assassin known as the Blade of Galadriel. You can go head-to-head with the newest addition to the ranks of the Nazgul. So she's a really fun character, one of my highlights from this game. And this makes me want to go back and jump in. I didn't spend enough time with that game because this last fall was just so crowded with stuff to play. But
it's just in the shadows of all the other great games.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Then there's 2 more games here that I want to talk about. Black Hole Complete Edition on PS4 and Black Hole on Switch. 2 different games. Entirely different games. Not related.
One
at
has
all.
a space with Black Hole, one does not.
Black Hole, one word, Complete Edition on PlayStation 4, which is like a 2D platformer looking game. And one is Black Space Hole on Switch, which is more of a twin stick shooter. So yeah. Today. It's Black Hole Day. New dates. Puyo Puyo Tetris is coming to PC via Steam on February 27th. Sega announced today. The colorful puzzle game will feature PC-exclusive enhanced features such as scalable resolutions, customizable controls, and mouse-driven menus. There'll also be an option to play the game with the original Japanese voiceovers as an added bonus. The game is priced at $20 on Steam, and you can pre-order it now for a 10% discount. You love that game, right, Kev? On Switch?
I absolutely love all the Tetris aspect of it.
You don't fuck with the Puyo Puyo?
Nah.
You're doing it wrong, man. I love that. Ubisoft has announced that Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege will be available to play for free next weekend. Interested players can join the growing community of over 25 million Rainbow Six Siege players during the free play weekend, which kicks off on PC from February 15th to February 18th, on Xbox One from February 15th to 19th, and on PS4 from the 15th to 20th. And finally, this comes from Xbox Wire. A PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Xbox One S bundle will be released on February 20th. The bundle will include a 1 terabyte Xbox One S, PUBG, 14 days of Xbox Live Gold, and a 1-month Xbox Game Pass trial. It's now available to pre-order for $300. What is this?
It's not for our show, it's for the morning show, but oh my gosh, that's huge news.
What? Hold on, click on it.
So Star Wars, the official account just tweeted, Send a Raven, David Benioff and DB Weiss are going from Westeros to a galaxy far, far away. So these are the two showrunners that created Game of Thrones into the massive juggernaut that it is today.
But what are they doing?
It says they're going to write and produce a new series of Star Wars films. What? You guys, this is exciting.
Chills. I love everything. I love Star Wars so much. God damn it, man. We went from not knowing the next anthology movie to now we have two separate series going with Ryan Johnson's one and this. Holy shit. I'm so stoked. Back to the games. Actually, back to reader mail. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsors, Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries. Greg wrote this, so if I just read it, it would have been weird.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change some things too. You know who I love? Gia Harris. You know what she loves? Flowers. You know what I love? Berries. Our sponsor, Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries, is the perfect Valentine's Day gift for everyone in my life and your life too, and that is true. Go ahead and think inside the box this Valentine's Day. This really is a one-of-a-kind gift. Your flowers and dipped strawberries will arrive together in a beautifully, specially designed box that'll keep your flowers fresh and your berries cold, guaranteed. Right now, you can save 20% on any one of the perfectly paired combinations or any other gift over $29 with the promo code KF. Hurry and order today. Valentine's Day is next week. There's only one way to get 20% off. 20% off. A perfectly paired gift over $29 featuring beautiful blooms from Pro Flowers and freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries. Visit proflowers.com today and enter code KF at checkout. You love those berries, Andrea.
I ate one before the show this morning. I did. So... Okay,
Dude,
I will say
they're cold, guaranteed, man.
They were delicious when they arrived, and they're still good now. But the berries inside, because it's been maybe a few days too long, are getting a little mushy.
Hey, man, mushy berries is still good berries. You know what I mean?
That chocolate, though, just pick the chocolate.
Proflowers.com. Enter code KF at checkout. Let's get to some reading mail here. Paul Gandersman says, I'm super interested in Celeste based on Tim and Greg's review of it, but I'm worried about my own taste and aversion to punishingly difficult games. For example, I gave up on Cuphead in World 2. I just got super frustrated after 30 minutes dying to one boss, and I haven't returned since. I played Bloodborne for 1 hour, hated it, ejected the disc, and sold it. What interests me most in games is a compelling narrative style and overall atmosphere. Example, Hellblade is one of my favorite games of all time. I've heard you guys talk about how great the story is in Celeste, and I'm wondering, given my taste, should I drop $20 on this game and give it a shot, or does it sound like this won't fit my playstyle? P.S. God, I miss the days of game demos. Thanks so much for all you guys do. I love the show and listen every day when commuting to work.
Paul, I have some great news for you about Celeste, and I wish more game developers would take a note from their playbook. They have fantastic accessibility options, meaning you can go into the menus and give yourself extra stamina. You can give yourself like a no die mode. There's a bunch of different options so that you can play through the game your way. They do obviously make a caveat to say the way that it is without the accessibility turned on is the way that they intentionally designed the experience to be, but they recognize that not everybody has the same ability level, and so they want their game to be accessible to as many people as possible, and I give them a huge round of applause for putting that in there.
This is one of the easiest recommendations I could ever make, especially answering your question here because of what you're saying. Their assist mode is fantastic, and I feel like Celeste is so amazing and beautiful, not just because of the quality of the level design, and I love 2D platformers, and I do love these type of games. This game's nowhere near as hard as Cuphead, so rest assured about that. But it is very challenging. It is very difficult. But the game is designed in such a way, even if you're not playing with any of the assist mode stuff, where it's set up in rooms. So each separate room, once you get through that room's challenge, any room never takes more than 20 seconds to get through. You might have to do that 20 seconds over and over and over, but it's a very limited amount of time. Then once you get to the next thing, that's a checkpoint. And you respawn instantly. There's no loading. It's just die back. And that's the way that the game progresses. And I love that design because it doesn't punish the players for losing. It actually makes you feel like, oh, it's trial and error done right. And that's why I thought Cuphead was great too. But even that was like more of like, if you fuck up, that's more of a
it was brutal.
It's more of a 3-minute experience that you have to redo, 2 to 3 minute. Whereas I think 20 seconds it's manageable. When you add on top of that all of the assist mode options, and it's just toggles of anything you want, any combination of things. You can go in at any moment in the options and change them based on the challenge that you're facing. The whole point of the game is to match the gameplay with the story. And if you like Hellblade and you like that type of thing, you're going to love the story of this game. And I feel like there's never been a better example of making 2D platformers, the gameplay of it, mean something and have every jump you do feel like it's adding to a story, and it fits in this really natural way that isn't just, oh, the princess is captured and we need to save her. It's like this, everything you do, every level has a gimmick and a design that's based around growing the story and growing on what's going on in her head. And it's really cool, and I highly recommend that for all those reasons. But in terms of it being a hard game, I think they do the best job of giving you options to play it the way you want to play it. And in addition to them giving you those options, they don't talk down to you. It's not baby mode. It's not, whatever the fuck they want to call it. It's, hey, play the game how you want. If you want to enjoy the story, you can do that. And we're giving you that option. They even give you a note that's like, hey, we're not judging you. Like, go for it and enjoy this game. And I really hope you do. And it's $20. If you don't love it, I know you're talking about game demos. If you don't love this game, I'll Venmo you $20. You heard it here first.
Damn.
Wayne Salt says, hey, you beautiful people. Here's another Celeste
He's
question.
not going to do that just so
I
you know.
will. I totally will. If he doesn't love this game, he's going to love this game.
Okay.
Guarantee it. Give it a shot. If you don't enjoy dying as much as you're going to, turn on some of the assist modes. And if you don't enjoy that, $20 is yours. Wayne Salt says, hey, you beautiful people, just listened to the KF Games cast, and it didn't seem like Tim could get enough superlatives to Celeste. Interested to hear what would have figured in Tim's Game of the Year for 2017 if it had come out then. That's an excellent question, and good Lord, I'm so happy it didn't that I don't need to put that in. My God, I don't know. It's last year between Mario Odyssey, Zelda, Cuphead, and if this were there, that would just be unfair. Like, ranking those is almost impossible, and they're all so different and they're all so great. But Celeste, there's something about it that I just really, really love and find really special. I mean, I couldn't put it above Mario or Zelda. I don't know, actually. It's you know what? Top 4. I'm not there. Let's see. I want a good one. We're going a little long here.
No, we're not. We're fine. We're good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know, but like I don't need to read all of these.
There are quite a few.
Yeah. I want to find a
Thank you to everyone who takes the time to write in to kindafunny.com/KFGD. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to be part of the show, and we couldn't do Reader Mail without you.
Beeks says, what's good, Tim and Andrea? So since its announcement, Metroid Prime 4 has puzzled me. From who exactly is making it and involved with it to how good it can be. But the whole thing has me stumped more than anything is why announce it so early with just a logo. Nintendo has not done this much recently, aside from Pikmin 4, wherever that is, but this has got me thinking, what if part of the reason for announcing it so early was because of Retro Studios? Whatever they're working on, we know it's not Metroid 4. So, with this in mind, whatever else they announced, we would just be disappointed. Just like when Tropical Freeze was announced. Do you think Nintendo wanted to get ahead of this disappointment by telling us Prime 4 was not made by Retro? Because now another new Donkey Kong game on Switch would have me incredibly excited. Whereas before I would have been let down by an announcement because it wasn't Metroid. Do you think Nintendo foresaw this and tried to get ahead of it? Thanks for all the great content. Absolutely. There's not even a question there. Nintendo needed to kind of have a big gun, and I feel that their strategy in this Switch generation has entirely been, we're announcing games and they're going to be out within months. They stuck to that for everything. There's been no delays on the Switch so far. It's just been go, 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 go. Metroid Prime and Pokemon are the two exceptions of, hey, here's something to look forward to later. And I think that's very important to give Switch owners something to look forward to. And I feel like Sony does such an amazing job of, hey, here's a lineup of the games coming now, and here's some stuff to be excited about, and a reason to look towards the future, what the PlayStation 4 is going to be. With all the stuff you're bringing up about Retro and Metroid, you're absolutely right. We know Retro's not doing Metroid Prime 4, and by putting Metroid Prime 4 out there, not having Retro be on the trailer at all, that's saying it's not them. They came out and said we're working with someone else. I'd be shocked if it doesn't end up being Bandai Namco, with all the rumors pointing towards that. And yeah, you're right. Like if Retro came out and announced another Donkey Kong game, I'd be thrilled because I love that, but I'd also be really disappointed because I'm looking for something new from Retro at this point, whether it's rebooting an old franchise or a totally new IP that they're just going forward with. Is Metroid Prime 4 going to be good? I can't imagine it being bad. It being made by Bandai Namco, I'm not sure that makes sense to me, but they worked on Smash 4 and I loved that, so I don't know.
I don't really have a lot to contribute with this because I'm not like a big Metroid super fan. I haven't really played a lot of Metroid in my career as a gamer.
I'm expecting Metroid Prime 4 to go through some changes. I don't think it's going to be actually called Metroid Prime 4. I think they're going to treat this as a reboot of the franchise to get people like you in. And I think that'd be the best decision that they can make.
Well, it certainly worked well for them with Zelda. Look at how many people had never played Zelda that played Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and I think that Metroid needs that probably more desperately than any other Nintendo franchise because it is so loved by the hardcore Nintendo fans, but I mean, that game just does not sell. And it's just it's so low compared to the other, the big Nintendo franchises. And you consider it one of the big ones. Like you'd think like Metroid's up there in this amazing lineage of Nintendo IP. But overall, at this point, like it's had some duds, and in terms of sales, it's never really had any major success, with the exception of Metroid Prime. And even that is only a success compared to GameCube standards,
Yeah, that's true.
But Retro, though, I mean, whatever they're working on, I'm excited for. And that's the type of thing where I'm like, oh, it's going to be great. Like, whatever they do, Retro can do no wrong. Geeky Jeff says, hello, Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts. I haven't written in for at least a year. In a console market that's increasingly adapting and innovating in how they produce and sell hardware, is it too far-fetched Switch will follow certain recent trends? Let me explain. This gen, we got these amazing, I'll bet, half-step consoles with the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. The Switch is already being put through the ringer on its processing power and graphical capabilities. However, they're getting the much-needed love and support of third parties again, yet gamers still can't play the new Monster Hunter on the Switch, a franchise that's made its home generally on a Nintendo platform. My pitch to you is, could we see a Switch Plus in the next E3 or two? A console that's basically the same with a little more kick to it. There's already precedent with a new 3DS. Even better, in order to keep up with certain games that have big audiences on Switch, like Monster Hunter, could see a Switch Dock Pro, a dock with extra processing power so that at least the big AAA titles you want to play on the big screen can in fact be played on the platform. Thanks for all your hard work and time. I love you all. I think this is an inevitability. In terms of what form that takes, if it's just a dock that powers things up more, or if it's a revision to the system that gives it more power or something, I totally expect this to happen. Will it be similar to the new 3DS that has exclusive games that are only playable on it? I think that is a more interesting question to think about.
Well, given Nintendo's partnership with NVIDIA to use their technology inside the Switch, I would hope that, they would be able to upgrade it sooner than later. And clearly NVIDIA always pushing the boundaries of what their chips can do. We see them make, splashy announcements at like CES every year and things like that. So I would love a Switch Plus. I mean, I'm one of the biggest people on the show always being like, I just want more power from the Switch. Like, why would I play a game that I could play on PS4 on Switch unless it's specifically designed to take on the go? You know, like, I can't find a reason to play any third-party game outside of indies, which have found a fantastic home on Switch. But like, if it's a AAA game, I mean, I'm going to be playing it on my Xbox or my PS4.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what I'm going to do. Particularly if it has a multiplayer component. We still have yet to see how Nintendo is going to evolve their online subscription service, which we finally got, you know, kind of like a date for recently. But, you know, I don't know when that's going to happen, though. We haven't really seen Nintendo do this outside of their handhelds. We never really got like a Wii U Plus or a Wii Plus.
We got a Wii Mini. We got things like that, like the different versions, but they weren't better. And I think that is where this is actually going to come in form.
Right.
The idea of will there be another iteration of the Switch? Definitely. Is it more powerful or less powerful? Because my thing is, I don't think it'll necessarily be less powerful, but Nintendo's going to look at the data, and if they see more people are treating this as a handheld than a console, or even if that there's an equal amount or whatever, I fully expect them to come out with a portable only Switch.
That's an interesting point because clearly the 2DS was successful for them. And I remember when that was announced, everyone was like scratching their heads being like, why are you making a 2DS that doesn't fold and it doesn't do, you know, isn't as powerful? I mean, a lot of people don't play with the 3D function on their 3DS, which is fine. But like there were some games that you couldn't play on the 2DS. And then they introduced the 3DS.
Well, you could. I mean, like the only real game that mattered was Super Mario 3D Land. And you could totally play that in not 3D, as seen by Super Mario 3D World. Right.
No. I mean, from a power perspective, and I might be confusing games that you could only play on the new 3DS.
That's what it was.
XL versus the previous 3DSs. I mean, the whole SKU system in the 2DS and 3DS family is enough to make your head spin because there's so many different types of them. Yeah. Now, if you were to like line them all up on a table, it'd be kind of
2DS XL is a thing.
It'd be kind of crazy. So I would hope. Against hope they would not go backwards in what their system can do because they already have a less powerful, you know, console. It's the 2DS. So
see, I mean, here's my thing, man. I'd hope that they do. I would love a dedicated handheld version of the Switch that had a bigger screen. Like,
but it's already a dedicated handheld. You never have to dock your Switch.
I know that's true. However, it's really frustrating me to look at it and have the thickest bezel of all time. When I'm looking, I'm like, that could be screen real estate, baby.
Yeah, but you don't have to go backwards in power to get more screen.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't need to be backwards in power, but it wouldn't be a step forward, and it would be dumbing the system down because that way you couldn't remove the Joy-Cons. There wouldn't be the local multiplayer functionality. This is not something that's going to be announced at this E3. Next E3, maybe, depending on what their plans are. I do think at some point we're going to get a handheld dedicated Switch that it has the Joy-Cons just fully attached. The Joy-Cons are an interesting wrinkle in this whole thing.
But why would you want them fully attached when you can just detach them and play multiplayer with your friends?
The only reason is to get a bigger and better screen. That's it. Like if you can't do that with the reason that you need the bezels because these things detach.
Okay, I see your point, but I mean it's
there's
kind
an
of
audience for it. I guarantee it.
It's their whole
and that'll be
shtick,
cheaper.
though. Is the detachable Joy-Con.
It is, and the thing is, at the end of the day, they can't change the form factor too much because they need to be compatible with Joy-Cons.
I mean, you essentially want a Vita.
Exactly. No, seriously though, and that's the thing is like this is gonna happen. Like I'm telling everybody. Put it on the fucking books. It's happening. Like within 3 years, this thing will exist and it's going to sell so well because it will be the lower price point. It'll be similar to the 2DS, where this is going to be after Pokemon's already on the system and people are buying their second Switches for whatever reason, whether it's their other kid or for them having one and their significant other to have another. Like I think that's way more likely than a Switch Pro. Where it makes things more powerful.
What about both, Tam?
And that's another option. And I think Nintendo's definitely looking into that. And I'd be very interested in what that looks like. It's just, I guess, and this goes back to our conversation earlier, I don't see a reason for Nintendo to try to win the war against PS4 and Xbox in terms of third parties. Like,
it's not even a war they're in. No.
But that's like, why even try? Focus on what you're good at and keep it there. For you saying earlier, like, why would you want to play the AAA games on Switch? That's a good question. And it's like, you shouldn't. I truly believe you shouldn't. games like Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, if it comes to Switch like the rumors are saying, cool, that's fine. Great.
Yeah.
It won't have 4K. Who cares? Like that game it's gonna look and play great on the Switch.
Yeah.
And that's what the Switch needs, and that's what's gonna make the Switch continue to be a success. Call of Duty is just like gravy on top of it. So I don't know. We'll see. I want to do one more.
Okay.
This comes from Cole. Hey, Tim and Andrea. I can't help to notice how much Fortnite Battle Royale has taken over my school. Everyone's talking about it, even the star football players. This got me thinking, is Fortnite this generation's Team Fortress 2? I can personally see a lot of similarities from it being free to play with loot boxes and children plaguing the servers. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Keep up the great work, Cole.
It is taking over. I mean, it's been like in the top games on Twitch for streaming for quite a while now. And it's really just a testament to Epic really kind of jumping on what was hot and saying, hey, we have the infrastructure already built because we've been making this game for so many years. Let's add this mode and see what sticks. And it turns out it's stuck. You know, people really like it.
It blows me away to see Fortnite be a success. Fortnite's one of those games that we heard about for so long, and it went through such a tortured cycle where you're like, there's no way this is going to be good. There's no way that this is going to, whether or not the game's good, there was a chance it was going to be good. There's no way it was going to catch on with people. It just turned so many people off, and they had so many weird design choices throughout it that they scrapped and went back to and whatever. And then I feel like that was a game coming out in an era where a lot of people were trying with ideas that, looking back on, didn't work out. Things like Evolve, where it's this kind of asymmetrical gameplay and all this. And I feel like Fortnite was one of those games that was like, oh, you're doomed. But for them to come out and be like, oh shit, we should copy this stuff right now and to get on it, they totally turned that story around. And it's one of those times where I can admit I was wrong as fuck, and I would have lost a lot of money if I bet on this, because it's a huge success.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure that, we recognize that they're not just like copying what PUBG did. They have a level of polish in the game that doesn't exist in PUBG, right? So, and they have a more approachable art style, something that feels a little bit more fresh, a little bit more interesting from my personal perspective. Not to say that PUBG isn't doing better things with their graphics now and their customization and how they're upgrading their weapon systems and things. It's getting better all the time. But I think Fortnite really benefited from several years of iteration,
game.
right? Before PUBG did, and also like they build the engine, so they have an inherent advantage over a team that is learning to build with the engine than the team who made the engine. So, I mean, I think it's great that both games are doing so great and that people have options, that if you want to play PUBG, you can jump in there and have a great time. Or if you want to play Fortnite Battle Royale, you can do that too. I mean, I think it helps that it's free to play. That was a very smart decision on Epic's part.
Absolutely. And I think that it really helped with its mainstream appeal and getting the football players playing. Like that's cool. And it's nuts because, again, I would have never expected Fortnite to have that type of recognition ever. And it absolutely does now. In terms of, is this generation's Team Fortress 2, I think a debate could be made for that, but I think Overwatch is the easier answer there.
I feel like Overwatch is bigger than Team Fortress 2. Like much bigger.
True, but I mean, I think just gaming's bigger, right? Like I think everything.
That's true. I mean, that's a fair point, but I guess, I mean, I always had like that one or two people like in my group that were Team Fortress people, but I feel like I know lots of Overwatch people.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just the circle of friends that I had. Write us in if you guys, were big Team Fortress people and you guys have, maybe some perspective or opinions on Cole's question. You can write to us at kindoffunny.com/KFGD.
Now it's time to squat up. This comes from my boy Ishti. Hi guys, my friend and I need help with Dying Light on PlayStation 4. Wow. Where's the next one?
It's still a thing.
That's a game that there was a lot of buzz around, a lot of talk about a couple years ago because it kind of ushered in the whole, we're releasing a game in January, or February, like early in the year, and that was still a novelty. That's why it kind of was a success. But yeah, I'm surprised we haven't heard from them. Techland. We are one trophy away from the platinum, and I need 2 other best friends to help us out. The trophy requires 4 people to complete 5 quests in one sitting, which can be done quite quickly. We're a pair of funny Irish lads who love co-op games and are always up for long gaming sessions. People from all time zones are welcome, as I live in Australia and he lives in Ireland. My PSN ID is Isti-k. My friend's is Din9. Please note that my PSN has a hyphen and his has an underscore. I'm going to read them to you because they are a lot of letters. ISTI-K is one of them. And the other is DIN_9.
It'll also be in the description.
And will be in description. Thanks, Kev. Andrea?
Yes,
Can
Tim.
you please tell us what we got wrong?
Sure. This is from yesterday's because of time differences. From Josa 1990. It says, Oi, governor. Joe here from Yorkshire, England. Quick note on yesterday's episode. While I watched back on YouTube due to the time differences, 10-pound notes can be referred to as tenors or a tenor, plural or single. 5-pound notes can be referred to as fivers or a fiver. 20-pound notes cannot be referred to as 20ers. 50 pence or cents cannot be referred to as 50 centers. It just isn't good and proper. Come to England and I'll happily let you pick my brain on the matter.
Well, Greg Miller, good and proper, do not fit in the same sentence.
That's
so there's that.
Okay. Let's see here. Editorializing. Big Daddy Wolf says, Tim is right. Black Ops 2 and then Ghosts were the last Call of Duty games on Wii U. So Ghosts, yes, was the last one, I believe.
Spooky.
Well, I guess you guys will have to talk about this tomorrow. Luke R. Wolf says, this is more breaking news than a year wrong, but it felt like it was bringing to your attention. Quantic Dream has issued a new statement regarding the allegations against them regarding misconduct. There's a translation of their statement on Reset Era, so we'll have to check that out after the show for tomorrow. Lord Pone, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, so just let that one go. Apparently, somebody leaked Nintendo's E3 lineup. We will have to check that out.
If that's the link, the 4chan leak, that shit is fake as fuck.
Okay, let's see.
Is that my boy Kebabs over there?
I see kebabs, yes.
Is the avatar popping up? It's popping up.
People just writing in about the sex dungeon.
Yeah!
Kebabs, like, I see what you're going for with your thing here, but it's not a you're wrong.
Okay. We're doing pretty well.
Yeah, not bad actually. LV589 says, hey guys, just wanted to update the Capcom Cup is just for Street Fighter. Marvel has its own tournament called Battle for the Stones, where players win real life Infinity Stones.
All right.
And the winner won an Infinity Gauntlet trophy.
Interesting. Yeah, I hope the stones are higher quality than the ones that came with the collector's edition.
Oh man.
They were horrible. Horrible. Horrible.
Slick says Tim left out Mercenary Kings Reloaded, which is available for the Vita today.
I did not.
You read it?
Not. I did. Did I say Vita though? I did. It was on the list.
Maybe you just said PS4.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. I just have Xbox One and PS4. I did see that game though. I did. Is that it?
Hold on. There's so many. I have to read through them.
God. Look
but
at the
most of them
papers.
aren't actual you're wrongs.
Are they awesome opinions about the sex dungeon?
So I think I corrected myself in the moment, but I'm going to read this anyway. Meta Night King says, Andrea, you were not wrong when you first said some games could not be played on the 2DS. The games that could not be played were the ones that required you to solve something by folding the DS up. This was fixed when the new 2DS came out and allowed it to be folded. Oh, thank you.
Interesting.
And then Kebabs wrote in and said, thought this would be a fun one. There are currently 10 handhelds in the Nintendo DS, 3DS line. DS, DS Lite, DSi, DSi XL, 3DS, 3DS XL, 2DS, new 3DS, new 3DS XL, and new 2DS XL.
Now, those are two separate lines.
Technically, it would be 3 lines.
Well, no. DS is its own thing, and it's the family of DS. DS, DS Lite, DSi. That's one thing. 3DS, 2DS, that's all one thing.
So then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
4DS, 6.
3DS.
3DS/2DS.
Family. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Makes sense.
Done.
That's it. Oh, wow.
Done.
Hey, we did good. This was fantastic. You're going to be back on Thursday with Greg Miller.
That's right.
But tomorrow, it's Widow Wednesday, so you know what that means. Big Tim Geddes and Gary Widow. What's up, Kev?
I just like that you're like, you know what that means.
Yeah, people know.
We never had one other one.
You know what you should do,
With
Tim?
Gary Widow?
The Widow Wednesdays with Greg Geddes.
With me?
Yeah.
2 of them.
You should get Mr. Widow's opinion on this this Star Wars news we just talked about.
Gary doesn't like to talk about Star Wars. That's not true. He loves to talk about Star Wars. He won't talk about Star Wars with us. And it's kind of frustrating.
Maybe
I'm gonna
he's
be
not
honest.
legally allowed to talk about
Oh, he's
Star
not
Wars?
legally allowed to talk about shit.
That sounds right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Let us know what you think about the Red Dead Redemption 2 rumors in the comments below. If you think it's true, if you think it's fake, if you think it's interesting, even if it is fake. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Fuck.
It's okay, Tim.
Yeah.